Welcome to Weekly Digest, where we highlight the work of ministers of government as they push the administration's development agenda. Picking up from where we left off last week, Minister of Health, the Honourable Dr. Frank Anthony, on Saturday last, commissioned a $30 million health centre at Bamia on the Soos-Dyke-Linden Highway. The minister also travelled to the mining town to hand over a ventilator and oxygen concentrator to boost COVID-19 treatment in the region. Minister Anthony told the health workers at Bamia that the facility would provide better primary health care in the area.
We can do a lot of preventative work at the primary care level, and if we are very effective at the primary care level, it prevents a lot of complications and would prevent a lot of diseases from going upwards in the chain. So what you do here is extremely important, and therefore, we'll want to work with you, we want to facilitate you to ensure that you can do your jobs better.
Minister Anthony acknowledged that a major challenge during the pandemic was a slowdown in the national vaccination program. He therefore called on primary healthcare workers to restart this exercise.
We want you to speed up or accelerate that process so that we keep those high numbers that we always get when we do our immunization programs for our children. So we'll work along with you, and the services that you offer here, whether it's antenatal, postnatal, other primary care services, we'll see how we can collaborate with you to make that even better.
Bamia is located about half a mile from Amelia's ward. The new Bamia Phase 3 Health Centre caters to about 1,500 residents. It would also serve neighbouring Bamia Drive, Phase 2 and 3 Amelia's Ward and Bamia Highway. Still with Minister Anthony in Region 10, Dr. Anthony also presented a ventilator and an oxygen concentrator to the Upper Demerara Berbice Region 10 Health Department to enhance its COVID-19 treatment.
We have, over the last couple of weeks, we have been working really hard to ensure that we have adequate supplies of PPEs. And we have been sending that out to make sure that all our hospitals and health facilities have PPEs. We have also been working on the equipment side because we know one of the ways of managing severe and critical patients for COVID has to do with ventilation. And one of the things that we've been trying to do is to ensure that all our regional hospitals have ventilators. In addition to that, we want to ensure that all our regional hospitals have oxygen concentrators so that if there are critical patients that come to us, that we are able to provide that level of care.
Dr. Anthony advised regions with specific needs to contact the ministry. Government is planning to develop the Charity waterfront. Minister of Public Works, the Honourable Bishop Juan Edgell, said the area will be regularized as it is becoming a major economic hub. At the moment, though, the waterfront is congested with illegal vending and the occupation of state lands, which Minister Edgell said was hampering the region from fully capitalizing on this location.
This is not just about a market anymore. What is happening here at Charity is what is happening at the Demerara River, where there is a demand for waterfront spaces, both to accommodate produce that is coming out, as well as the carrying hardware for the kind of development that is taking place.
Minister Edgell explained that due to the unregulated vending, the trucks are unable to get to the river. He said the idea is not to deter business, but to have it done in a structured manner.
We have to start getting people in compliance. And once we get people in compliance, we have to be able to ensure sufficient openings, one, for fuel. Secondly, we have to be able to accommodate vending, because as a government, we are not going to suppress economic activity. Small or big businesses, we want to see them accommodated, we want to see them thrive, but we have to get them in a regulated manner, that while they are carrying out their economic activity, they're not an obstruction to others.
On Monday last, The nation's senior secondary and TVET students and teachers returned to the classroom. On that day, Minister of Government in Region 4 and regional education offices in other regions made it a priority to visit and check up on students on their first day back. But before we tell you about those visits, let's take a look at measures put in place by collaborating ministries before Monday's reopening. At schools throughout the country, the Ministry of Education ensured proper COVID-19 preventative measures were in place to keep the nation's children safe. The ministry installed hand-washing stations near the entrance in school compounds, and teachers and other staff were seen posting reminders of the guidelines at key locations.
We have to be careful and limit the numbers so that we do not have any overcrowding and it becomes unmanageable. So we're going to be very strict on that.
Well, students, I believe, will enjoy the face-to-face interaction with their teachers and their colleagues. However, we intend to ensure that they maintain all the COVID-19 protocols as prescribed by the Ministry of Health.
Chief Education Officer Dr. Darcel Hudson expressed confidence that the systems put in place will ensure students are safe.
As a ministry, we have taken every precautionary measure to ensure the safety of our children, because we recognize that one mistake we could find ourselves being set back. And so we have done a number of things to ensure that our children are safe in terms of the delivery of education.
On October 31, Minister of Education, the Honorable Priya Manichan, announced that schools will reopen for classroom instruction for Carbon Secondary Education Certificate, Carbon Advanced Proficiency Examination, and Technical Vocational Education and Training TVET institutions.
Schools shall reopen for face-to-face engagement for the cohort of students in grades 10, 11, and 12. That is formerly known as 4th, 5th, and 6th forms, and for all practical instruction centers and technical vocational educational centers from the 9th day of November 2020.
Going back to the classroom, teachers are being allowed to use varying methods of teaching based on each school's unique situation. The Ministry of Education will be providing guidance to schools.
You may recall that we had said in those early announcements that once we begin face-to-face schooling, we may have to adjust our school term, and we may have an extended school week, and we may have to do rotations of students and teachers. This holds true. Each school and institution will have the freedom to set its own timetable to get teaching done effectively, and may do what is necessary to effectively deliver the education needed once they comply with the gazetted COVID-19 order. The Central Ministry will provide direct guidance on the completion of SVA and syllabi once requested, or if its supervisory arms observe the need. Textbooks, past papers, digital support, and other materials will be provided so that each student has access to necessary resources. Content will begin from where it was left off for each student. This may necessitate reteaching what was already taught during these months of closure for those students who did not access said teaching during said school closure. A wellness diagnostic will be administered to our students and support offered where necessary. Our school's welfare department is fully mobilized to address needs as they arrive, and we intend to make sure we lose not one single child to this school closure.
Support will also be provided for teachers with younger children who are called out. Now a look at Monday's events. Schools reopened right on schedule, and Minister Manichan paid a visit to several schools to ensure COVID-19 measures were being followed. She used the opportunity to remind both students and teachers about the importance of staying safe while at school.
We have to make sure we capture every single child. What we will be doing vigorously is trying to determine those who did not come, was that by choice because of COVID, or have they already been lost to the system, in which case we have to do all we can in terms of support to get these kids back in to finish their high school. We don't want dropouts from this period.
The Education Minister committed to sparing no effort to ensure that each child is afforded the opportunity to complete their secondary education.
We have to make sure we capture every single child. What we will be doing vigorously is trying to determine those who did not come, was that by choice because of COVID, or have they already been lost to the system, in which case we have to do all we can in terms of support to get these kids back in to finish their high school. We don't want dropouts from this period.
Assessments also took place across the country.
Different schools will use different approaches. We have allowed wide latitude. We're not from the ministry using the big stick approach and saying you must do this or you must do that. We're giving schools the opportunity to set their own timetable and their own schedules, with the view that they best know what they have to do to achieve the purpose of getting our children learning.
Head teachers at the various schools indicated that the level of engagement is over 60%, with some schools reporting that 100% of their student population is being engaged.
What I realize is that I missed the classroom. And I'm happy I'm here today so that I can help the children. And our love for teaching and helping the children would have brought us out here today.
It's actually great. It feels good to be back at school.
We are happy as much as our students are happy to be back at school here so that we can have this face-to-face contact. Our children will benefit more with our presence around.
Minister of Home Affairs, the Honourable Robeson Ben, also visited several schools.
Well, I'm fairly satisfied that they have the basic features in place, the wash stations, the soap, the chemicals for sanitization, and also the temperature testing kit.
Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, the Honourable Anil Nandlal, visited 5 schools on the east coast of Demerara, where he interacted with students and teachers on their first day back after 8 months away from the classroom due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
I have observed that they have settled in well. I want to take this opportunity to thank the officials of the Minister of the Education Ministry for the great job they have done, the teachers for coming out in their numbers, and of course the students.
In his interaction with the students, the Attorney General reinforced the importance of keeping safe.
Hopefully, the rules that the ministry has put in place will be observed by the students, and hopefully they carry that responsibility to their homes. And they continue to wear masks, they continue to maintain social distances, they continue to use hand sanitizers at regular intervals, and they continue to obey all the rules and regulations which we have put in place, because it makes no sense that they do that at the school, but at home they are exposed.
Other schools visited were Lamont Intention Secondary, Bladen Hall Multilateral, Golden Grove Secondary, and Hope Secondary. More news this week. Residents of Hog Island, Wakenham and Leguan will soon benefit from major drainage and irrigation works. This commitment was made by Minister of Agriculture, the Honourable Zulfikar Mustafa, during visits to the islands on Tuesday. The Agriculture Minister and a team of senior personnel from the ministry, along with regional officials, listened to the concerns of residents with the aim of having those issues resolved.
We got 2 acre land, lease land. I mean, Antonio can't plant the place. It's a canal, they never put a hook on the end, the place of flood.
You have 4 acre lands and you have about 10 cows. What you will do with it? They don't want to hear farm. Then again, rice farmer getting priority. The salt water, making the cows them and drink it, they can't survive.
Minister Mustafa spoke of the provisions made in the emergency budget that will benefit farmers, including the removal of value-added tax from agricultural products and equipment, as well as the reduction in the land rental and lease costs.
What that means That means that farmers will have more money in their pocket just by not paying the increased land rental. For 15 acres, a farmer who used to pay $15,000 per acre, with the reduction of the land rental fee, that farmer will save $210,000 annually, just by removing the land rental fees, the high increase. So that's the way we intend to invest in our people. And more will be coming. This is only an emergency budget, as I said, from October to December. And we have a number of projects in that budget, and we are looking to implement those projects, which will help you, the farmers in our country.
The minister will send a team to the islands to conduct assessments, following which works will be done. At Hog Island, repairs will be done to the excavator, while a long boom excavator will be dispatched temporarily to use on the works there. Minister Mustafa also committed to providing a new long boom excavator to Wakenham and to assign a bulldozer temporarily to complete works there.
Wakenham is very important for us. Wakenham is a very important agriculture area for us. You know for a fact, you said that the chairman said 140,000 coconut weekly. We know you have 1,863 acres of rice land. You have almost close to about 100 rice farmers, 80 to 100 rice farmers. You have a number of cash crop farmers, coconut farmers. So you are making a tremendous contribution to our country. And in return, we will ensure that we invest in the necessary infrastructure so that you can benefit and you can have better infrastructure to do your farming.
Residents lauded the minister's efforts to provide assistance. The recent launch of the Remigration brochure aims to make remigration easier for the diaspora by filling the information gap. This was disclosed by Foreign Secretary to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mr. Robert Bassad, who said the ministry was looking at ways to improve services by making it more convenient and expeditious.
One of the gaps that we had noticed was persons were unclear as to how they can go about accessing the remigration scheme. And immediately we went to work and developed what we call a remigration brochure that is now available on the internet, but also at all our missions and embassies where persons can go and access the basic information they need to know.
The Foreign Secretary said the process involves the ministry and the Ghana Revenue Authority. He said the ministry will process the application and, through the minister's office, make recommendations. The GRA deals with tax exemptions as stipulated by law. This gives clarity on the application process and when they are qualified for tax exemptions.
Those are some of the kinks that we are currently working on because we believe that there's a lot of enthusiasm, there's a lot of interest in persons remigrating, and we want them to benefit from the scheme that is provided for by the government.
Mr. Prasad said the ministry is working with the International Office for Migration to make remigration more lucrative. Nevertheless, he said the current remigrant scheme is already an attractive one.
You can bring your motor vehicle, your household, whether you're a person living, and there's also the component for persons who have been studying too. They too can also remigrate. So it's not only a persons and families who would have been settled, but also attracting, as you refer to, skills. So persons who would have been studying in the US or anywhere, they can also tap into the scheme.
The remigration brochure can be accessed on the ministry's website, www.minfor.gov.gy. At least 150 persons were able to receive their land titles and transports for a number of areas in Region 6 during the Ministry of Housing and Water's Dream Realised Housing Drive. The event was hosted at the University of Ghana Teen Campus. Minister, the Honourable Colin Crowell, said the initiative was geared towards expediting land titles that were stalled under the previous administration. He said the PPPC administration is working hard to ensure that Guyanese have better housing solutions. Minister Crowell told Parisians that they can look forward to seeing their regional office upgraded.
It's important that we bring CHPA to the region in a large way so that you can understand that they play an important role and is for that reason we have also been reviewing the regional offices, and it is our plan in the immediate future to strengthen all our regional offices to ensure that they provide the level of service that does not require you traveling to Georgetown for basic information and inquiries.
Meanwhile, Minister within the Ministry of Housing and Water, the Honourable Susan Rodriguez, highlighted the importance of the titles in transports.
Those who want to occupy their lot and start to build their homes, we recognize that in order for you to do so, especially if you have to approach a lending institution or a bank, you need your title in your hand. And many persons are uncomfortable expending a lot of money, going into a lot of expense and constructing a house without the guarantee or the security of a title or transport.
I'm very thankful for the government and all other members that I received my transport. Today is a happy day for me.
I'm so glad that I get my title, that I could get a loan from the bank. I'm going to look forward to take a loan from the bank for get my own home.
When I get oldies, every time I come, me and the children, you have to give the children them and over to them now. So that makes you stand up for your right. Now when you're dead and gone, the children say you left nothing, something left there for them.
Well, we never say keep it until we have time to put it in children them name. We can make on that on son 21 year and 22 year.
Some health news. Accessibility to remote communities in the Patara-Siparuni Region 8 area will become much easier, especially for health workers, after the Ministry of Health handed over an all-terrain vehicle, ATV, to the region. The ATV, valued at $2.5 million, is to be used at the Kopenang Health Centre, located in the North Pakarima sub-district. Minister of Health, the Honourable Dr. Frank Anthony, said in addition to the region's transport issues, the ministry has been looking at the impact of malaria in hinterland regions and has acquired 100,000 bed nets. These will be distributed soon. That's it for this edition of Weekly Digest. For these and other government-related information, do log on to our website, dpi.gov.gy, and of course our social media platforms as well. Goodbye.